Thank you, Megan, and good morning to all the attendees at the AVIT Summit. I am honored to join you and provide some insight into the phenomenon that is esports and the outstanding opportunities at hand for those in AV and IT fields. The reality is, esports is exploding faster than installations can take place and labs and studios can be created. I had the pleasure of meeting with a team from Sony at CES a few months back and learned a new term, IoT, the Internet of Things, and how smart cities are being built. When I was a child, I watched the Jetsons and my sister watched Star Trek. The thought of talking to someone through a television seemed so far-fetched, and yet here we are today. The Jetsons robot would make a dinner appear out of thin air, and yet now you can literally print a prosthetic leg on a 3D printer. So how do we, as experts in our field, take advantage of this continuing technological revolution? And that includes the evolving world of esports. Let's first take a step back to understand just what is esports. Esports is the world of competitive, organized video gaming. Competitors from different leagues or teams face off with the same games, such as Fortnite, League of Legends, to name a few. But esports is more than placing blocks in Minecraft or getting the most eliminations in Fortnite. It is the pathway to success for our digitized youth. The National Esports Association has been on the front lines, and I'm excited to share with you what I've seen and experienced, and also help answer two key questions. How do we get here? And where are we going? Let's start by exploring the definition of who the we is. First, let me dispel the myth that all gamers are antisocial kids who live in their parents' basement and eat cheese puffs and drink Mountain Dew. That is simply not true. Sometimes they live in the attic. But let me tell you, today, with the formalization of gaming under the umbrella of esports, gamers are getting their due respect. And I'm honored to represent gamers to provide them the platform they need to succeed. Esports can provide youth with cognitive and social development, as well as improved eye-hand coordination, attention and visual acuity, basic visual processing, and executive functions, as well as problem solving and strategy skill development. Esports enables one to exercise strategy and develop dexterity skills. Plus, esports can provide youth with school to college pipeline. I believe in the power of esports, where youth compete on a level playing field that is inclusive and diverse without borders. I always tell people I have the coolest job on the planet. I get to play video games and work with inspirational students around the globe. The reality is, esports cannot be ignored any longer. Tech companies are taking note, the Olympics are paying attention, and schools and colleges are working to embrace it head-on. Esports is even a popular spectator sport, as tens of thousands crowd into stadiums to cheer on their favorite teams and players. I am proud to be called a pioneer of esports, organizing educational programs that involve video games for more than a decade, before esports was called esports. Esports and education go hand in hand. As an educator, my job is to inspire learning. And in order to inspire, I need to tap into what naturally motivates a child. For more than a decade, I have run summer enrichment STEM-based programs. For many students, this is the only summer camp that fits their needs and interests, and they thrive in this environment. When we started our programs, mostly only boys attended, but eventually we had girls right there alongside the boys in this male-dominated field. Kids who feared such a social setting were now begging their parents to let them stay longer because they were collaborating and creating with their new friends. This is the power of play with a purpose. Let me re-say that. Play with a purpose. That's one of my mantras. Students were engaged in learning and yet didn't even realize they were learning. Education should be easy and organic, not hard and force-fed. Through my programs and experience, I have seen firsthand the benefits of esports and have been fortunate to work with some of the best and brightest of this generation. 18 months ago, I headed on an East Coast tour of colleges in a Fortnite bus to learn about esports programs. What did I learn? I'll tell you what I learned and quickly realized. How far we had to go to make esports a true collegiate sport. No one really had a plan, and the infrastructure was lacking. Our first stop on a tour was a college in Maine, which had just opened an esports lab, hired an esports coach, and were starting to recruit. Great, I thought. Upon arrival, this is what I saw. A small gaming lounge in a corner of a cafeteria with 10 computers and an Xbox, and a team that had no one to compete against. I quickly realized I had to reevaluate how could I help and support esports athletes when schools wanted the allure of esports athletes but did not have a budget to support their interests. After the college tour, I looked closer at the high school esports market to see what they were doing. Again, I quickly learned high schools also were looking for leadership, needed help selecting and training coaches, finding teams to play against, and needed guidance in creating esports labs. Fast forward to 2020, and this is what I now see. The North American Scholastic Esports Federation conducted a study connecting STEM development with esports, and now we have proof that esports contributes to significant STEM development. After years of research and testing, the first prescription video game for children with ADHD was approved this June by the FDA. Colleges are using esports as a recruitment tool. Picture it. You take a tour with your parents, you see the slick esports lab with camaraderie amongst gamers, and that college's investment in esports just helped the school recruit dozens of new students. And it's not just tech colleges embracing esports. Even the Fashion Institute of Technology in New York City has an online esports program. Let's look at the 3 E's of esports: entertainment, engagement, and education. Let's start with entertainment. We all know someone who plays video games. It's fun. If you haven't tried to win a Mario Kart race or eliminate all the ghosts in Pac-Man, then you can't possibly understand video games' appeal. Children love video games. Minecraft has sold over 200 million copies on all platforms and has over 126 million active users. Fortnite players exceed 250 million, and last year a 16-year-old who had never been heard of before took home $3 million at the Fortnite Cup. And in 2018, the League of Legends finals scored more fans than the Super Bowl. Let's talk about that Fortnite World Cup of 2019. I had the pleasure of attending this and watching the production and the hype. Over 200 million people from around the world tried to win one of the 100 spots to play to be part of the $30 million prize pool. That is correct. The prize pool from one event was $30 million. And suddenly parents in the world woke up realizing the opportunities that are available when a 16-year-old took home the $3 million prize for first place. Let's talk about engagement. I meet with parents, administrators, teachers, and previously all told me the one thing: they wanted less screen time for their children. I advise them to look at the whole student and see how we can use esports to engage the student. Not everyone wants to be a pro esports athlete, but they do like to learn from the pros and get better at their craft. Even if one didn't make the basketball team, they would still watch the games and have a favorite player in the NBA. They love the sport and they are engaged. Esports is the great equalizer. I have students on the autism spectrum who have cerebral palsy and are from various socioeconomic backgrounds. But when they play that game, when they play esports, they are on par with their peers, even if they require adaptive equipment to accommodate a disability. The same is true for women in gaming. My peers in gaming, from Microsoft to Niantic to Cheddar Esports, and I are often tapped to speak on the subject of women in gaming. When I do, I emphasize the importance of engaging women in this field. For me, it's a natural progression as I can lead by example. In order to have more females in any industry, there needs to be more female role models. When I first started the STEM-based programs, only one girl signed up, so you know what I did? I went out of my way to encourage her and foster the relationship. I told her parents up front that their child would be the only girl in the room besides me, but I would make sure it was a positive experience for her. I'm proud to say that I no longer have to have that conversation, as we have now achieved equal gender representation in our programs, as many girls in gaming as there are boys. Let's talk about education. We know that the great equalizer of all things is education. When we increase engagement in the classroom, we are fostering learning. The National Esports Association has created an esports curriculum leveraging the benefits of STEM, strategy, skill, and socialization. We also train and certify esports coaches. Sometimes esports is the only extracurricular some students embrace. A study by the National Center for Education Statistics showed that students involved in extracurricular activities are 20% more likely to earn a bachelor's degree, have higher GPAs, and have better attendance records. Esports entertains, engages, and educates. And it's a multi-billion-dollar industry, and yet It's uncharted territory that's still being navigated. And now, even though esports is played in a virtual world, it is a team sport that fosters community. But now that we are all socially distanced, even esports need to pivot. We all need to pivot. When the world shut down on March 16th, we at the National Esports Association had just returned from a Smash Bros. Tournament in Dallas. And we were headed to Pennsylvania to meet with Microsoft and colleges regarding the creation of esports labs. But everything came to a halt. Everything was canceled. And this included seasonal spring events like the White House annual egg hunt. So we took that egg hunt and other egg hunts across the country and made it into the virtual world of Minecraft. We did the impossible, and our virtual Minecraft egg hunt made national news, from Forbes to CNN, even Stephen Colbert. We recruited and managed Minecraft builders around the world and secured a server donation from Rackspace. In pivoting, we held the first virtual egg hunt in Minecraft that was also cross-platform. And we kept building with Minecraft, a video game where blocks are used to create different worlds, one block at a time. In June, the National Esports Association teamed up with the World Video Game Hall of Fame at the Strong Museum, as Minecraft was inducted into the Hall of Fame. And we created the actual museum in Minecraft where players encountered interactive displays and earned game tokens along the way. The Hall of Fame induction was able to have a celebratory event even though the museum was closed due to COVID. So how can AV and IT pivot? Aligning with esports while pivoting quickly enough to be part of the new way we play. This fall, all high school and college sports have been put on hold. Schools are not sure if they will reopen. We all can benefit if we can create the infrastructure, embracing the virtual world of esports as our worlds are all online now anyways. When they return to hybrid or in-person classes, schools and colleges will need to construct caster studios. This is a large market for installations, and the expertise from the AV and IT worlds is desperately needed. Casting, as in broadcasting or sportscasting, is an important part of esports. For professional teams, school teams, and fans, I've had the opportunity to cast virtually for tournaments, from a caster booth at the HyperX Arena in Vegas and on stages and tournaments presenting the play-by-play action as is done with traditional sports. For now, as we are forced to learn and communicate distantly, esports is catapulted to the front of the line, and schools, universities, communities, and industries are scrambling to be part of the wave. Since we cannot go back to the way things were, let us move forward together, limited only by our imagination. Nothing is impossible, and isn't it fun to do the impossible? We at the National Esports Association are happy to guide you and connect you. So like I asked at the onset, where are we going? The answer is wherever we want. By working together to build the infrastructure that ensures the gamers of today have the resources to become the leaders of tomorrow. Thank you.